1984 was more than just a year. It was a turning point in modern history. From shocking disasters that left the world in mourning, to groundbreaking inventions that reshaped the future, and cultural moments that still echo today, this year had it all. In this video, we'll uncover the most unforgettable events of 1984, stories of triumph, tragedy, and transformation. But here's where you come in. What year should I cover next? Drop your favorite year down in the comments, and it just might be featured in the next deep dive. On December 3, 1984, a lethal cloud of methyl isocyanate gas erupted from Union Carbide's pesticide plant in Bhopal, instantly engulfing nearby slums and killing thousands. Official records note around 2,259 immediate fatalities, while other sources estimate total deaths climbing into the tens of thousands and over 500,000 injured. The disaster unleashed a lung-burning, eye-searing horror that devastated families, sparked outrage over corporate negligence, and left survivors grappling with chronic illness and poisoned water decades later. On July 28, 1984, the Summer Olympics opened in Los Angeles, a spectacle overshadowed by a Soviet-led boycott. Despite this, a record 140 nations competed, filling stadiums with energy and defiance. American athletes dominated, with the United States topping the medal table. These games were also groundbreaking for their commercial success, with corporate sponsorships turning the Olympics into a global business model. With dazzling performances and Cold War rivalries playing out in every arena, the 1984 Olympics became both a sporting triumph and a symbol of political tension. On November 6, 1984, Americans delivered a political landslide as President Ronald Reagan crushed Democratic challenger Walter Mondale, winning 49 of 50 states. Reagan's charisma, economic optimism, and patriotic Morning in America campaign swept the nation. Mondale's historic choice of Geraldine Ferraro as the first female vice presidential nominee couldn't overcome the tide. The victory gave Reagan unmatched power, reinforcing his conservative vision, escalating the arms race with the Soviet Union, and cementing his legacy as one of the most dominant political figures in U.S. history. On January 24, 1984, Apple unveiled the Macintosh personal computer, introduced by Steve Jobs with a legendary Super Bowl commercial that promised to shatter conformity. With its sleek design, graphical user interface, and mouse, the Macintosh made computers accessible to ordinary people for the first time. It was revolutionary, sparking excitement and controversy in equal measure. Though initial sales struggled, the launch cemented Apple's identity as the daring rebel of Silicon Valley, planting the seeds of the tech empire it would later become. October 31, 1984. India was shaken when Prime Minister Indira Gandhi was gunned down in her New Delhi garden by her own Sikh bodyguards, Satwan Singh and Bant Singh. The bullets ended her life instantly, igniting an inferno across the nation. Furious mobs unleashed anti-Sikh riots, killing thousands and leaving entire communities in flames. Her death not only robbed India of a powerful leader, but also revealed the deep cracks of religious and political tensions that still haunt the country's history. On December 19, 1984, the world watched as Britain and China signed the Sino-British Joint Declaration, sealing Hong Kong's future. With Margaret Thatcher representing Britain and Deng Xiaoping for China, the deal declared that in 1997, Hong Kong would return to Chinese sovereignty after 156 years of British rule. Promises of one country, two systems reassured many, but anxiety spread across the territory. This historic handshake marked the beginning of the end for colonial Hong Kong and the start of new geopolitical uncertainties. On June 6, 1984, inside a Soviet research lab in Moscow, a young programmer named Alexei Pajitnov created a simple puzzle game that would hypnotize the world: Tetris. Falling blocks, geometric simplicity, and an addictive rhythm made it an instant obsession. Smuggled beyond the Iron Curtain, it became a Cold War cultural export that conquered living rooms, arcades, and eventually handheld consoles. Tetris didn't just entertain, it rewired the way people thought about games, forever changing the future of digital play. On August 30, 1984, the Space Shuttle Discovery roared into orbit on its maiden mission, STS-41D. The shuttle carried satellites, experiments, and America's hopes for a new era of reusable spacecraft. Just weeks before, Discovery had suffered dramatic delays, including a pad fire that nearly doomed the program. When its engines finally lit the Florida sky, the launch symbolized resilience and innovation. Discovery would go on to become NASA's most flown shuttle, but its fiery birth hinted at the dangers ahead in space exploration. On February 9, 1984, Soviet leader Yuri Andropov died after just 15 months in power, his rule cut short by illness. The Kremlin turned to an aging, ailing successor, Konstantin Chernenko. With failing health and little charisma, Chernenko represented stagnation at a critical Cold War moment. His rise signaled the Soviet Union's desperate attempt at continuity, but instead revealed a crumbling system. The rapid turnover of leaders underscored the looming instability that would soon engulf the Soviet Empire. On January 3, 1984, after being shot down over Lebanon, U.S. Navy pilot Robert C. Goodman, Jr. was freed from Syrian captivity. His release came after a surprising diplomatic mission led by Reverend Jesse Jackson, who personally negotiated with Syrian President Hafez al-Assad. The dramatic turn not only saved Goodman's life, but also highlighted Jackson's bold political influence. At the height of Middle East tensions, this unexpected success offered a rare moment of hope in an otherwise bloody and volatile region. On January 10, 1984, after 116 years of estrangement, the United States formally restored diplomatic relations with the Vatican. President Ronald Reagan and Pope John Paul II forged the powerful alliance, united by anti-communist fervor during the Cold War. The partnership carried immense symbolic weight, linking the world's most powerful democracy with its most influential religious institution. For millions, the restoration signaled a moral and political union that would shape global strategy against the Soviet Union throughout the 1980s. On January 1, 1984, the world's largest telecommunications monopoly, AT&T's Bell system, was officially dismantled. For nearly a century, Ma Bell controlled nearly every phone line in America, but antitrust rulings shattered the giant, splitting it into 7 regional baby bells. The breakup sent shockwaves through the economy, lowering phone costs, sparking competition, and laying the groundwork for the modern telecom and internet industries. What seemed like corporate destruction was, in fact, the birth of the digital communications revolution. On January 17, 1984, the U.S. Supreme Court delivered a groundbreaking decision. Home video recording of television broadcasts using VCRs was legal. Hollywood studios had waged a fierce battle, claiming it would destroy the film industry. Instead, the ruling transformed entertainment forever. The ability to tape shows at home paved the way for the video rental boom, shifting power from networks to consumers. In one stroke, the court legitimized a device that would become a cultural staple of the 1980s. On November 9, 1984, in Marin County, California, a new kind of gathering was born, the first Hackers Conference. Pioneers of computing, including Stuart Brand and Steve Wozniak, came together to celebrate programming, creativity, and the rebellious hacker spirit. At a time when computers were still niche machines, these visionaries imagined a future of connected networks and personal freedom. What began as an experimental meeting in the woods would ignite a culture that forever reshaped technology, privacy, and digital power. On November 19, 1984, a Pemex gas storage facility in Mexico City erupted into a series of catastrophic explosions. Fireballs ripped through entire neighborhoods, killing an estimated 500 people and leaving thousands injured or homeless. The blasts leveled homes, turned streets into infernos, and revealed shocking lapses in safety oversight. For survivors, the night was a nightmare of fire and chaos. The Pemex disaster remains one of the deadliest industrial accidents in Latin American history, etched in Mexico's collective memory. On December 1, 1984, the Philippines made history by launching the Manila Light Rail Transit System, Southeast Asia's first rapid transit system. Stretching through the bustling capital, the elevated trains offered speed and modernity in a city choked with traffic. For millions of Filipinos, the LRT symbolized progress and possibility, even as political unrest gripped Ferdinand Marcos's regime. The opening of the rail line marked not only a new chapter in transportation, but also a rare glimpse of modernization amid turmoil. On January 1, 1984, the tiny but oil-rich Sultanate of Brunei declared full independence from the United Kingdom. Sultan Hassan al-Bolkiah, one of the world's wealthiest monarchs, assumed absolute power over the new nation. With vast petroleum reserves fueling prosperity, Brunei stood out as a glittering anomaly in Southeast Asia. Yet behind the wealth lay questions of democracy and freedom. Brunei's independence was both a celebration of sovereignty and the birth of one of the world's last absolute monarchies. On January 9, 1984, 23-year-old civil servant Sarah Tisdall was sentenced under Britain's Official Secrets Act for leaking documents about U.S. cruise missile deployment. Her punishment, 6 months in prison, sparked outrage among journalists and civil liberties advocates. The case exposed the clash between government secrecy and press freedom during the Cold War. For many, Tisdall became a symbol of youthful defiance and the heavy hand of state control. Her downfall revealed how far governments would go to silence dissent. On January 3, 1984, the London Stock Exchange introduced the Financial Times Stock Exchange 100 Index, known as the FTSE 100. This benchmark of Britain's top companies quickly became a global financial barometer. Investors watched the new index rise and fall like a heartbeat of capitalism. In an era of Thatcherite reforms and deregulation, the FTSE signaled Britain's ambition to be a financial powerhouse. Its launch reshaped markets, giving traders a new weapon to measure wealth, risk, and opportunity. On January 23, 1984, Madison Square Garden erupted as Hulk Hogan defeated the Iron Sheik to capture the WWF Championship. The victory launched the era of Hulkamania, where the charismatic wrestler became a larger-than-life hero for millions of fans. His iconic victory pose, muscles flexed and crowd roaring, transformed professional wrestling into mainstream entertainment. With one dramatic match, Hogan turned WWF into a pop culture powerhouse, forever changing the spectacle of sports entertainment. On February 29, 1984, Canadian Prime Minister Pierre Trudeau stunned the nation by announcing his resignation after 15 years in office. Known for his charisma and bold policies, from bilingualism to constitutional reform, Trudeau left an indelible mark on Canada. His departure ended an era of political drama and cultural transformation. For many Canadians, the moment felt like the end of a chapter in modern history. Trudeau's exit left a vacuum and sparked speculation about the country's uncertain political future. On April 2, 1984, squadron leader Rakesh Sharma made history as the first Indian in space, launching aboard the Soviet Soyuz T-11. Orbiting Earth, Sharma conducted experiments and symbolized India's scientific ambition. When Prime Minister Indira Gandhi asked how India looked from space, his reply became legendary. Sare jahan se acha, better than the world. The mission elevated India's global stature and ignited national pride, showing that even amid turmoil, India's eyes were fixed firmly on the stars.
On September 14, 1984, MTV launched the first-ever Video Music Awards in New York City. Madonna shocked audiences with her provocative Like a Virgin performance, while icons like Michael Jackson and Cyndi Lauper dominated the night. The VMAs instantly became a cultural phenomenon, blending music, fashion, and controversy in a way television had never seen. What began as a flashy experiment became an annual spectacle that shaped pop culture, crowned stars, and captured the rebellious spirit of the 1980s.
And there you have it, the defining moments of 1984, a year that changed the world in ways still felt today. So now it's your turn. What year do you want me to explore? Leave your choice in the comments below, and let's keep this journey alive together. If you enjoyed this trip back in time, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss the next story. Stay curious.